It is 02:30 hours on June 6, 1944. The night over Normandy is still dark, but the silence east of the River Orne is deceptive. It is a brittle silence, heavy with the weight of what is about to come. Down at the canal, Major John Howard's force has already captured the river and canal bridges intact. But in the cold logic of war, holding a bridge is useless if the enemy controls the high ground overlooking it. And in this sector, the high ground has a name: Ranville. 2 kilometers to the east, the ground rises steadily. To a military planner, Ranville is the dominant terrain feature of the eastern sector. If the Germans hold this ridge, their artillery observers can sit in the church tower and look down upon the Orne Valley like gods. They can see every glider landing and spot every tank trying to cross Pegasus Bridge. From this vantage point, they can call down a curtain of steel that will turn the Allied crossing points into slaughterhouses. The equation is simple. The invasion cannot survive with that village in enemy hands. For the foothold in France to exist, Ranville must be taken before the sun comes up. The task falls to the 13th Parachute Battalion, commanded by Lieutenant Colonel Peter Luard. But as the clock ticks toward dawn, they are a ghost battalion, scattered across the marshes and fields. The drop was chaotic. High winds blew transport planes off course, dropping men miles from their zones. Many are struggling in flooded marshes, weighed down by 80 pounds of equipment, alone in enemy territory. At the assembly point, Colonel Luard blows a hunting horn to rally his pack. Of the 700 men, only a fraction appear out of the darkness. They are missing their mortars, their heavy machine guns, and their radios. But war does not wait. Luard gives the order to move. They advance in silence, moving deeper into German-held territory. They are light infantry in the truest sense. No tanks, no artillery. They walk toward the dark silhouette of the village armed only with Sten guns and the raw aggression of the airborne. The approach is a study in tension. Every shadow looks like a helmet. Every rustle of leaves sounds like a bolt being racked. The leading platoons reach the outskirts. The village feels deserted, a ghost town of stone and silence. Then, the silence breaks. A dog barks. A shutter slams open. Suddenly, a German sentry fires a flare. It hisses into the sky and pops with a blinding light, stripping the street of its shadows. Every British paratrooper is illuminated, caught like a statue in the magnesium glare. Machine gun fire erupts instantly. The sound is a terrifying tear, like canvas ripping. Bullets chew into the stone walls, sending splinters of rock into the faces of the men. In an ambush, speed is the only armor. They sprint across the open street, hugging the walls. A sergeant kicks open a heavy oak door. A grenade goes in first. The metallic clink on the floorboards, the pause, then the muffled thump of the explosion. Then the men storm in. For the first time on D-Day, the fighting shifts to the brutal intimacy of urban warfare. Room to room, staircase to staircase. The Germans are caught in their sleeping quarters, unprepared for elite troops with blackened faces appearing out of the night. By 0400 hours, the center of the village is secure. A British soldier climbs the church tower and looks out over the dark fields. Ranville is technically liberated. But taking a village is the easy part. Holding it against the inevitable counterattack is where the dying begins. While the first shots ring out in the village center, the German headquarters at the Château de Hertouvent on the outskirts of Ranville awakens. Inside these thick stone walls, the leadership of the 125th Panzer Grenadier Regiment has established its nerve center. For the German officers, it is a moment of total disorientation. Reports of men in the trees and blackened faces flood the telephone lines. Inside the ornate rooms of the chateau, 2 worlds collide: the Prussian order of the staff and the unpredictable violence of the airborne assault. While the British are already clearing staircases in the village, the Germans struggle to grasp the scale of the threat. Is this a diversion or the main invasion? This delay in decision-making at the chateau buys the 13th Battalion precious minutes to dig into the ruins before the steel response of the Wehrmacht arrives. As dawn breaks, the gray light reveals their isolation. They are a small island of red berets in a sea of German gray. To the south, the German 21st Panzer Division is waking up. They realize a dangerous wedge has been driven into their flank. They send the 125th Panzer Grenadier Regiment to retake the ridge. From the south, a sound begins to drift toward Ranville that freezes the blood. The squeak of steel tracks and the deep roar of Maybach engines. German armor and self-propelled guns push through the hedgerows, massive beasts designed to crush anything in their path. The paratroopers clutch their rifles, knowing a .303 bullet will bounce off armor like rain. They are effectively naked against the steel monsters approaching them. They have only one option left, the Piat. This spring-loaded tube is crude and violent. To cock it, a soldier must lie on his back and pull with his entire body weight. But the real terror is the range. To kill a tank, you have to be terrifyingly close. 50 meters, 30 meters. A paratrooper must wait while a 20-ton monster rumbles toward him, waiting until he can smell the exhaust before he dares to pull the trigger. "Hold your fire," the sergeants whisper. "Wait for it." It is a suicide weapon, but it is the only thing standing against annihilation. The German attack begins with a heavy mortar barrage. Thump, thump, thump. Shells shatter roof tiles and collapse chimneys. The air turns thick with brick dust, clogging lungs and stinging eyes. Under this cover, the German infantry advances through the morning mist. The paratroopers hold their fire. Ammunition is low. They wait until the gray shapes are clear in their iron sights. Fire! The British line erupts. Bren guns and rifles roar in unison, and the German attack stumbles in the high grass. This is a deadly game of cat and mouse. The Germans probe for a weak spot, shifting their armor to find an opening. A panzer turret rotates slowly toward a farmhouse window. The barrel looks like a black hole. When it fires, the wall disintegrates in a flash of high explosives. Casualties mount. The aid station fills with men lying on tables and floors. Colonel Luard moves among his men, ignoring the sniper fire. He offers no false hope, only orders. Dig deeper. Stay low. They will come again. By mid-afternoon, the perimeter is shrinking, and the men are reaching exhaustion. The panzers push closer, sensing the end of the British resistance. Then, a low rumble fills the sky. It grows louder, shaking the ground of Ranville. Hundreds of aircraft appear over the coast. This is Operation Mallard, the main airborne lift. 250 massive gliders fill the sky like giant, silent birds of prey. They descend toward the fields. The landings are violent. Wood splinters and wings are ripped off. They are down. Hamilcar gliders swing open, unloading light tanks and artillery pieces. The defenders of Ranville stand up and cheer. The cavalry has arrived. With the air landing brigade, the balance of power shifts instantly. The German commander realizes the pocket has become a fortress he can no longer crush. Simultaneously, the roar of Sherman engines rises from the west. Lord Lovett's commandos and the tanks of the hussars roll into the village square. The siege is lifted. Ranville is the first village in France to be liberated. In a quiet side street, an elderly woman opens her door. She sees the khaki uniforms and begins to weep, offering a bottle of wine saved for 4 years. It is a flash of humanity in a day defined by slaughter. But liberation has a price. By evening, the ancient churchyard of Ranville holds rows of bodies wrapped in parachute silk. 47 men of the 13th Battalion lie dead. Ranville becomes the anchor of the invasion's eastern flank. The German 21st Panzer Division threw its best armor against the paratroopers, and the paratroopers held. As night falls, the celebration is muted. The men clean their weapons and watch the southern sky glow with the fires of burning tanks. Tomorrow, the panzers will return with even greater force. But tonight, the flag of liberation flies over Ranville. The Allies are in France, and they are staying.